I was withdrawn from medical school.
Okay.
At that point in time, I think I had written my MBBS part one.
Okay.
At that point in time, don't forget they've been calling me small
Doctor.
So they've been calling me. I recall that I think I had to put a call through to my mom and she was a bit teary. And was the first regional coordinator for NIMSA SW.
Wow.
Yeah.
First regional coordinator.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing that for the first time.
Yeah. So I was the first regional coordinator for NIMSA SW Nigeria.
I think medical students really need to get this.
You know, then a year before that, I contested for president of NIMSA and I've lost with more votes. Okay, so I quickly have to know that, okay, fine, this has happened. It is one aspect of your life, that's academics, but every other aspect, you have to show yourself that career-wise, you have to show that you're somebody that loves God. Okay, and all of. I remember I was withdrawn in the afternoon, in the evening I had to minister in church. You need to first and foremost understand that you are in the world of your own first. Mm-hmm. And like I say, you need to discover purpose. Reason for discovering purpose is so that you can help motivate yourself. Because you are all that you have to motivate yourself. Mm-hmm.
Hello guys, you are welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm here on an interview with someone very, very special, and I'm very, very sure that from the title of this video, you can see. So thank you very much, Mr. Sam.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Can you please introduce yourself, sir?
My name is Samuel Abimbade. I am Head of Programs for Female Network Africa. At the same time, I'm the focal person for the Inter-African Committee on Harmful Practice Against Women and Girls for Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much, sir. You mentioned Value Female
Network Africa. Yes.
What's it about, sir?
Okay, Value Female Network Africa is it's a non-governmental organization that focuses on quite a number of things. First and foremost is promoting the health of women and girls, as well as protecting the rights of women and girls. So we have different interventions whereby we help see how well it's important to ensure that we provide quality services at different communities level with respect to helping ensure that we could actually help have women and girls in an environment which is sane for them to be able to thrive and do much more.
Okay, thank you very, very much, sir.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
so in order not to waste our time, so one of our questions for today's interview is, you said recently in an event that you left medicine. Is that true, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you tell us why and the reason for it, how the journey went, and what really happened, sir?
Okay, so for me, it wasn't as if I had an option. Okay. And so I was withdrawn from medical school. Okay. At that point in time, I think I had written my MBBS part one.
Okay.
And so the first one I didn't pass. Okay. And for the second one as well, I mean, one way or the other, I didn't pass. Okay. And so I was advised to withdraw. And so I was left with the options of either going to other departments in college or going to other departments, I mean, within the school environment. Okay. So, I mean, when I was dated back as back as 2014.
Wow.
July 2014.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly 10 years now.
Okay, but what do you think was as a result of the reoccurrence of not passing the end?
Quite a number of things. First and foremost, I think the first one was had more to do with maybe my level of preparations. I think for the first one, maybe I wasn't properly prepared. For the second one, is a bit quite tricky because it was much obvious. Most of us that had to withdraw from school were either people that were involved in school activities with respect to leadership. Wow. So yeah, we had about then 8 of us withdrawn, and I think about 7 of us were politicians, senior senators of the class, wow. class governors. You know, so, school. Yeah. So it was more. The second one was more targeted.
Wow.
You know, so but the first one, I think it was self-indulged. I think my preparation wasn't so accurate for the first one, but the second one was something that definitely was targeted, especially if you were in and around the environment at that point in time. You understand much more.
Okay, sir. But okay, after you were withdrawn, what were your motivation at first when you wanted to, and how were you able to motivate yourself after the incident?
Funny enough, it was quite painful, quite worrying, because I recall that I had to go back to tell my family members. At that point in time, don't forget they've been calling me small doctor. So they've been calling me small doctor and all of that. Some people already calling me Dr. Sam and all that. So it was quite painful and worrying. But I discovered at a point in time, I think was at the end of my first year, I've been able to discover purpose. What I had serious interest in. if I had gone up the ladder and I've been able to even finish medical school, it was easy for me to tell, okay, I'm going to do public health, because I was a bit intentional towards helping ensure that the right health policies are in place. Interventions are targeted towards people that are most deserving. Interventions where initiatives were also wired around how to reach communities, especially people living with disabilities and people that are more vulnerable. So I've been able to identify this while I was in Ogumosho, because I was involved in one or two NIMSA activities at that point in time. It was important for me to discover. So I did that towards the exit of my 100 level to 200 level. I was already on that trajectory
from 100.
Yeah, so it was quite easy. You know, people that it took them a little time to be able to move. You know, for me it took a little time. I was more battling with how would I tell my family members, how would they respond, and all that. But you know, we had to live a day at a time, and we got there. And after everybody knew, I knew, okay, this is the time I had to be more accountable to myself, and I had to prove to myself first that I was not a failure. So I was more intentional about proving to myself than proving to any other person that I was not a failure. So I think
that was a great motivation, proving to yourself that you're not a failure. Wow. All right, sir. So the next question is, I think you mentioned part of it, that how were you able to convince your family members and your parents in particular? What were their reactions?
It was quite worrying. It wasn't so easy. I recall that I think I had to put a call through to my mom, and she was a bit teary, and it wasn't something really so nice, you know. At that point in time, our friends were already calling a mommy doctor, you know. So it was really worrying. But I recall that at that point in time, I had to tell her that if she could just give me 10 years to help sort myself, redirect purpose, redirect plans, and a number of things, and that she really would be proud of me. But at that point in time, it was not easy. She just felt I was a young boy that didn't know what I was saying. I wasn't handling failure maybe properly, but I had to put myself together, and I had to prove to myself that I mean, this is something I can do. So it wasn't so easy, but we lived it a day at a time, and God was quite faithful.
Thank God, thank God. All right, sir. Thank you, sir. Can you please tell us some of your achievements so far, sir?
All right. With respect to my achievement, I think they're quite numerous, to the glory of God. I'll try to see how I can make it abridged. One of the things that I did was, and one of the fundamental things was the fact that I'm a founding member of Vitamin Network Africa, which we started working in one state. At that point in time, started working in Osun, but now we are working about 7 states in Nigeria. We started that non-government organization at that point in time. And it was just immediately after I'd been withdrawn from medical school.
Wow.
So I had to channel and prove to myself, you know, as I said, and those that were in my inner circle of family and friends, that I mean, this was something I was passionate about. So I took it a bit personal. So we co-founded with Dr. Coffee. We had to found Vitamin Network Africa. So I'm a founding member of Vitamin Network Africa, and so we've been able to scale up beyond even working in 7 states in Nigeria now to working in about 4 countries in Africa.
Wow.
So I head programs. Yeah, so I head programs of Vitamin Network Africa, and that's one of the things I do. I also consult for State and Animal Foundation. I am also one of the executives for Personality Enemy Foundation, where I also sit on the board as well to be able to help advise on how well programs speak to individual framework, and how well we could actually help see how well we could design what we do. So I think that's another thing. I also, at the moment, I'm a focal person for Inter-African Committee on traditional practices affecting women and girls. Wow. So and that's for Nigeria. So I had also had the opportunity to speak in different high-level events, like the CSW, I mean, before the end of the year, again, I'm supposed to be back in the US for the UNGA. So I mean, many other opportunities like that. So I've been fortunate to also be part of, I mean, working groups at different international levels, like the Global Aid Consortium against FGM. Yes. Okay, so and there's very many others. So I think that's just.
Thank you very much, sir. That's just wow. All right, sir. I think you mentioned earlier that you were able to discover purpose and your interest in public health. So I want to ask that what really boosts your interest in public health? Is it that where you were coming from, or you just grew up, or a case happened?
All right. For me, it was about it was more of a test and run at that point in time. So I wasn't so sure. I just wanted to see how well I could do different things at different points in time. So don't forget, I also said I was involved in student leadership. Yes. So I was a FABAMSA executive. I was LAMSA senator for 3 years. I was, so I was at different points in time in different places. I was the first regional coordinator for NIMSA Southwest.
Wow.
Yeah.
First regional coordinator.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing that for the first time.
Yeah. So I was the first regional coordinator for NIMSA Southwest Nigeria.
I think medical students really need to hear this.
Then a year before that, I contested for president of NIMSA and I've lost with 2 votes.
What level then, sir?
I was in 11. I was contesting against 600 level students and all that. So it was, but that should let you know how much I've done with respect to trying to see what would work. So at that point in time, I've been involved in major activities. I volunteered for United Nations Populations Fund campaign, work against rape. I've been volunteering for different organizations here and there. So that in itself is what I was able to help put together and quickly identify purpose. So at that point in time, I initially had to start with community sensitization. We'll go to Aruje, in Ogbomoso, and we would try to ensure that we look for focal groups, and we'll see how well we could sensitize the community on issues that affect their health. At that point in time, again, there was a Malala funded project with One Life Initiative in Oyo, where I had to help coordinate for Ogbomoso. So I think I was working on Ogbomoso South and North Nigeria about community engagement. There was also a school, is it grammar school or Baptist now? Towards the exit of Ogbomoso, I also had gone there 3 different times to do a project. Ogbomoso Baptist High School. So I'd gone to do a project for boys promote equality, because I chair an innovation that boys promote equality. So how well, and that speaks about how well boys how well boys start becoming intentional, how well start becoming intentional with training boys and building their capacities, towards also ensuring that we can reduce the gap with respect to gender parity. So I think that those are things that I was able to put together at that point in time. And also I was NIMSA, so I was here and there. I was a member of NIMSA games. I was this, so capacity have been built. Okay, so the capacity has been built to an extent that even after the withdrawal, if I had kept that within myself, there would have been an outburst. Okay, so I quickly had to know that, okay, fine, this has happened. It is one aspect of your life, that's academics, but every other aspect, you had to show yourself that career-wise, you had to show that you're somebody that loves God. Okay, and all of. I remember I was withdrawn in the afternoon, in the evening, I had to minister in church. So somebody saw me, and somebody that saw me the following day said, I heard that you were withdrawn. I told them no, because you were in church yesterday night, I had to minister or something like that. So it was quite worrying. So I knew it was one aspect of my life, and I looked at it.
It's also hearing this.
So it wasn't so easy as it sounds, but it was. So I had to minister that evening because I was an head of department in my church at that point in time. So I had to know that one aspect of my life is having a challenge. So, but the other aspect of my life should not be also totally affected. Although I made effort to come back to med school, but I think, okay, this was God's leading, and I think it was important to be able to help do all that I'm doing.
That's so great to hear, sir. That's so great to hear,
sir. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. So the next question here is that what will be your advice for someone that's in this kind of situation, sir?
Quite worrying, because first and foremost, I wouldn't say it was really so easy. As I said, it looks smooth now because I've been able to transcend through that. But for anybody that is going through this, it will be important that you first and foremost identify that God would not have brought you thus far to have left you at that point. I remember at the point in time I had big friends that reached out and they told me what would happen and all of all that. People were ready to pay for my school to go and take JAMB again. I have people. I'm blessed with quite intentional friends. Okay, like Fikaya Benson, like Costly Adebe. So people were really intentional to help me start from the scratch again. So so for people that have the time, I think they can start from the scratch. It's not late. It's not too late to start again. But for others that think they also want to move on to other things in life, like myself, it's also important to give yourself time. Time would sort it all. Time would show that God is gracious and faithful towards you. Time would indicate that you just need to give yourself enough time and all that. So time first, then you also may need to consult. For myself, my DM is open. You could also share if anybody reach out to you for purpose of this. So we could have consulting sessions. We could create what next, how well to navigate around it, and all that. So not so easy, but I'm sure that if we could take it bit by bit, first and foremost, understand where you are, understand that there's a long-term goal. Don't be in a rush. Don't compete against your colleagues. Don't feel bad about those that had gone into clinicals or had passed and all that. Understand that everybody has their time, and understand that in his time God would make all things beautiful. Okay, that was for me. Really, I think I was withdrawn. The first thing I had to write on my status was that in his time, God will make all things beautiful. And I mean, glory to God now.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a nice time with you. So
Thank
finally,
you.
Before we go, sir, do you have any other thing you want to tell us?
First and foremost, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a privilege.
And I think for me, it's about helping young people understand what purpose is. And oftentimes, one of the things that you see quite around are unhealthy competitions. Unhealthy competitions amidst young people. And one of the things that does is to drain the energy as a young person. And especially for those that maybe are going through what I had gone through at that point in time. I would say you need to first and foremost understand that you are in the world of your own first. And like I say, you need to discover purpose, or reason for discovering purpose is so that you can help motivate yourself, because you are all that you have to motivate yourself. You need to understand that you have a lot to prove to yourself. You need to stop comparing yourself with either your colleagues, those that have gone ahead of you. I mean, if you're able to identify purpose, you must help ensure that you do everything possible to first build skills around it and be intentional about it. I mean, I've had people that have also reached out to me and say that, I mean, we were not withdrawn, but I mean, look at you, okay? I've had to maybe any of these conferences I go out of the country, I see one or two persons say, guy, I mean, how far, you know? So as I said, you know, the environment can be a bit toxic and all that, but you must be intentional about yourself and see how well you can actually improve yourself. You must know that you have to write your story yourself. You must do everything to help ensure that you are writing your story yourself. Because if you're not intentional about writing your story yourself, you'll give other people the opportunity to write a story for you that is not yourself, okay, or your story. So you need to be intentional. What story do I want people to say about me in 5 years? What story do I want people to say about me in 10 years? I told my big friend, I said, give me 10 years. After I was withdrawn from medical school, I said, give me 10 years.
This is 10 years now.
And 10 years, I still don't feel fulfilled yet. I still think that there's a lot to cover in the coming days. But but I'm grateful to God for each and every of all these steps. So if you don't write your story yourself, irrespective of every failure you've had in life, people would create their version of that story. So I think that's that about that.
Thank you very, very much, sir. It's been an awesome session with you, sir.